Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you're doing well. I'm guided and led by Spirit, and I ask for protection over this reading and get through the reading. Trigger warning: the subject matter is going to be of a very mature nature. We are going to be delving into the world of demons, and we ask for protection in this reading, and let's see if we can get some answers. Disclaimer: all cases are treated as alleged until proven in a court of the land, of the people, of the world, in spirit. Now, don't be alarmed. I'm in the rabbit hole. Interestingly, number 5, this will be rabbit number 5. And the first one began with the New Orleans event. And 5, if you ever wanted to know what is the number for demon, the number 5. Welcome to Vampiri. I'm starting to get hot goosebumps here. And I'm going to tell you the genesis of this episode. But please note, Alicia was not speaking about vampires, no. Let's rewind. Early this morning, I watched her episode Hidden Agenda regarding the California wildfires, and I would highly recommend her. Her readings are amazing. It comes with a very awesome sense of humor, but also goes beyond the veil all the time. So very good. She's more than a tarot reader, but she's amazing. I would highly recommend her videos and her readings, but please don't get too hooked. Come back when you're ready. Anyway, genesis of this episode, Hidden Agenda. When I watched this episode, so full disclosure, I normally don't watch topics if I'm going to cover them. Does that make sense? So if another practitioner does the wildfire, I'm not going to do the wildfire. However, having watched this episode, Hidden Agenda, and the shenanigans going on around this fire, we are going to look at the sequence of the fire, the +3, +6, +9. But in Alicia's in the Hidden Agenda video, of course, we know, what I found quite interesting was that Obama and all the Democrats that have to leave the vacation station because Donald Trump is coming in, are cleaning house in a sense. We've noticed from the beginning of December that there's been beginning of January. We'll note that in the beginning of January, there's been really strange anomalies happening in America. There is change of guard. There is change of worlds. And the worlds that have been festering and enjoying the harvests for many years are now being rid of their skeletons in the closet. So it got me thinking, why would, because I'm also the belief of this was man-made. Let's call it man-made. Let's say arson. I will show you the numbers. But why do this? So the official date for the commencement of the fire, January 7. The official amendment day, the official start of the fire, January 7. That's what's written down as text. The day before, January 6, and the day after, January 8. So I'm going to do a 369 on a 72-hour profile here. Now, already that comes to the attention is the portal sequence within the 72-hour window. So we know there's harvesting of energies. Now that is something that's said in the Hidden Agenda episode, and I'm concurring. Here's a portal sequence when energies are at their peak. So effectively this is the 8th, which would have been yesterday, because now we are Jan 9. We are in the witching hour 8 p.m., right? So we do have a portal sequence here. We'll come back to that. In fact, let's do the portal sequence first. The portal sequence, I beg your pardon. The fire sequence, beg your pardon. For me, I would say yes, the fire could have started between midnight to sunrise 7. But for me, that's problematic. Okay? Because the number for fire is 6. 6 equals fire. So the first, let's call it one rule of thumb. We know, for example, in a crime scene, we know how someone dies, or we know how someone has passed. In this case, there's a fire. And I've just been reminded of Raven in Australia. When they said the fire started, there was a 6 at that time. They said there was a fire. That is not the case with the Californian fires at the moment. It's not the same. So in other words, someone has manipulated the information, which means the timeline is wrong. So we backtrack. Where's the first time we see a 6 is here? Okay. That's when, at very least, there's a spark of fire here. 7 is wind. Okay. For the purposes of this presentation only, I'll just make it blue. 6 is the fire, 7 is the wind. So together, fire and wind. See, now there, which is the 7, goes through to the next day, 7. So there's 7. So in my opinion, you might have maybe caught the first glimpse here, but it actually started between dark time, night, to midnight. So sometime in the dark hours leading up to January the 7th, that's when it began, in my opinion. And look who's standing at the entrance door the day before, 15/6. 15/6 is, what's the word in fire? Arson. Okay, 15/6, and let me write it here. And let me tell you why. I don't know how to spell arson all of a sudden. My other brain's not working. There we go. Arson. Okay. 15/6 is arson. 6 the fire. 5 is a human being. 5 represents, in this case, if we're looking at an individual, and I did, in my own capacity, got a shadowy figure. 5 is a human being creating the issue. And there's fire all around you. 6 on the day before, beg your pardon, this is still, I just quickly copied and pasted, lazy ass. Let me change the colors. I normally like doing the templates fresh. But in this case, this is all linked to, and I concur what is said in this video. Cleaning house, but does it have to be this dramatic? In episode 1, and I'll just share with what I watched in Hidden Agenda, you will recall in episode 1, here's all the numbers here for children. Monarch, MK Ultra, children. And the question is, why would you find, and I'm just looking for them now again, why would there be military involved with children? So based on a similarity in Hidden Agenda, I'm going to go deeper on that level. In fact, I intended to go deeper, and then, now let me explain how vampiri comes into the picture. For many years, well, let's put it this way. When I started my training with Psychic Vanessa, if you know my backstory, welcome to go look at it on my homepage. Ever since I started my training back in, it would have been time as starting early onset of dementia, I think. I would have been 2021, round about there. So I started delving into different subject matter. And of course, when I got a lot older, in 1996, I believe is the first inkling, where I came across a Satanist. He wasn't outwardly out with it, and this is why we ask for light in this reading. But through his appearance and dress, etc., it was pretty, well, let's not generalize, but knowing what I know now, that was an obvious sign. That was at least one of the signs. And we actually happened to work in the same space for a short period of time. And whenever I was around him, the energy around him was just super dark. And it actually got to a point, the one day, we had a bit of a psychic warfare. Psychic attacks, and then he disappeared. True story, he disappeared in the neighborhood. This was when I was actually working in the video store. If you read my backstory about aliens. Then sometime later, we hear that he was arrested. Turns out he did a sacrificial murder with one of his one of his neighbors in a block of flats, in a block of apartments. He murdered someone, and it was a whole ritualistic thing. So you never know who you walking with or walking around or bump into. But over time, I had several psychic warfares, encounters with people of the like, but also with the tinge of vampiri. Now, lately, I don't know why, but recently, I do try to remain tapped into the universe for good chunks of time. I kept on getting the word vampiri. And then I'm thinking, why fire? Because for me, on one level, to have a firestorm, as JLR Investigation is calling it, firestorms, juxtaposed with cold as hell on the east coast of the US. It's it doesn't make sense. So then why would you want to burn things and get rid of evidence? And why are there military and children around? This is all the temperature at the moment. Let's just have a look here. It dawned upon me, excuse the pun, it dawned upon me, given the context of celebrityhood, and like I said in the previous episode, this is really bad for the good people of those areas, but of course there are people amongst them that are who have lived on the lavish pain and violence from others or upon others for other whatever gratification. What is that liquid they get when people are highly stressed and particularly from children and babies that they suck on? That's what I say. What's his name? Forrest Gump. He was like one of the first people that got COVID, and he was in Australia there. Also another hive. By the way, for Vampire Hive 30, outcome 3 is the hive. So what are the chances that the like are also amongst us? And I believe they are. I've experienced it myself. We went to some club. Well, it wasn't a club. It was more like a casual dining, outdoor Jamaican vibe. But underneath, downstairs, was the hard rock alternative vibe, right? And I went in there one evening with some friends. But we all ended up, for whatever reason, in a bigger circle with more people, and everyone's partying. And then all of a sudden, it was like they were all staring at me. And there was this like big psychic attack, and felt like bites on my neck and all sorts of bullshit. So it's around vampiri. And, the name, ironically, has been pinging on me. And I thought, what is the chances of these motherfuckers are living amongst us in their underground, dark coffins, pop out at night as you please type people? So when I did some Google research, there happens to be I was looking for anything about vampires. And we've all watched we can test it with all the typical vampire movies, right? But this text was published in 1819, called Vampiri. And as a test, and I just did a test on it. It's the first one I tested. I'm prepared to test more that we feel may be of essence. You know what I mean? Not bubblegum bullshit that some of these vampire slapstick bullshit. There was another vampire encounter experience that I had. Before we go deep, I'm just giving some background. the 1 year I got terribly ill, I got bronchitis. Just had a flash of some weird thing. Anyway, I got bronchitis because my assistant in the office, I was a producer, came to work ill. And then I got ill and I landed up with bronchitis, and I was on my back, coughing my lungs out. Mike Tyson, one Mike Tyson in the left lung, one Mike Tyson in the right lung. And let me tell you, that wasn't very good. But in my daze and haze of sweat and what the fuck is going on, I had an encounter with two vampiri groups in conflict, and I chose to bypass it. I went the highway. I was going through also, there was there? It seemed to be there was this transitional phase going on, whatever it was, right? I mean, I've never delved into the shit at all. But I've been prone to the energies, unfortunately. So this article, fictional piece, London, by the way, published in London, is probably why Putin, who's also probably a Satan, of course, himself, demons, we are dealing with demons. So here's 5, demon. But here we go, April 1, 1819 is when it's first published, right? So 4 plus 1. So my feeling around this, why I thought this would be good, is because I feel like all different groupings. I mean, we know Tom Cruise, for example, was in that vampire movie, right? Very convincing. What was I going to say now? All right, so let's just stay on the numbers. I want to just show you here. 4 plus 1 gives us the 5. Now 5, foreign, not of this earth. 4 is earth, 5 foreign, demon. Because we are dealing with vampiris, demons. 24/6 seems familiar. 24/6, 15/6 looks like any other Tom Cruise or any of the actors that played in Vampire Diaries or whatever it was called. Now, interestingly, there's a conflict in the +3. Oh, beg your pardon. 6 equals blood. Beg your pardon. 6 equals blood. So I also look at these numbers to say, okay, someone's written an article about vampires, right? Okay. But let's see, does the numbers match? And according to me, these numbers are spot on, in my opinion. April 4, so now +3, beg your pardon, +3, we see a 4 plus 4 conflict. Now, on one level, we can say there's a conflict between anatomies. 4 is anatomy. I get anxious writing when I'm in spirit. Anatomy. My spelling is not the greatest. Thank God for Google. Help me spell my life. Okay, anatomy. Is that correct? Whatever. Okay, anatomy 4. So here's the conflict of anatomy 8, biology. Interesting. Oh, maybe that I got blacked out there. 1910-1. So this is what I was going to say. All these different sectors like to plant seeds in society, in my opinion. You know, the saying is right in front of our faces. Yes. And the further back we go in history, as we know it, the clearer and less smog and fog in the air, if you know what I mean. So in the +3, anatomy. So we, beg your pardon, biology, right? So you're taking 2 anatomies to make a biology here. Doesn't that sound familiar with these vampiri movies? 27, 9, 18, 9. These are your blood-curdling numbers in the negative that I was talking about. Don't get me wrong, in the positive, 27, 9, 89, 9 are supersonic, high-level numbers. Powerful, creative numbers. We can talk about all the adjectives, but when it's switched the other way, because as much as 9 is creation, it can be the devil. So April 7, and that came from Hidden Agenda. First card pulled, the devil card. What is behind the wildfires? April 7, so this would be the +6 where the action is. So this is the book, huh? So 7's interesting. Okay, so let's look at it from this perspective. So I believe this article may be planted in society because there's a need for integration somehow. 11-2, that's coming together. So you've got the ever-present 4. So 7, well, this is what demons think, right? They the divine being, right? We'll just make it powder blue for effect. So integration, huh? Hives, 30, outcome 3, hives. So because 3 is the number for community, groups. So 30 falls part of the grouping sequence of numbers: 14, 5, 12, 3, 30, outcome 3, 21, 3. These are all community numbers here. So now you got a plus, you got a mass 0, 10. So it's bigger than, so it becomes the hive. And this planting of the seed, or let's call it of this article, is with intention. Because 1910-1 is the Inception sequence. You know the movie Inception? 1910-1, so the single ideal, the idea 9, gets planted into a community 10, and the outcome is 1. So everyone, it's like everyone is brainwashed. You know what I mean? So in this case, hey guys, vampires are real. And everyone goes and pays their 5 pennies to go watch the 2 puppets on the stage there, right? I'm gonna drink your blood. And then everyone laughs, right? Fuck, when it happens, people are screaming and in complete terror, and they're draining all the adrenaline and blood out of these people. And all the skeletons and all the bullshit that's been preserved and hidden and sucked on has been now burnt to the ground. Interesting how these numbers will play out, funny enough, in the fire sequence, by the way. So let's just finish off the +9, and then we're going to play some ping pong. Very interesting. What's the current theme at the moment with Donald Trump? The 10-1. The group. We'll call them the group from now on. 10-1 is, you can say, if you want to be accurate in terms of what the description is, the group. It is a group. But the group in 10-1 is more like a corporate vibe. It can get to government level as well, the group. So in other words, who is the group? Let's go to Trump sequence here quickly. I beg your pardon, this is not Trump sequence. Yes, Trump sequence going, what are we now, the 9th? Eh? So tomorrow, the 10th, East Coast time, is the court case, 11-2. Here's the law number. And who's at the top there? 10-1, the group. It's interesting. Uh, 14-5. So here we got, here's the situation, right? So 14-5 is the group or community of the fives, right? Foreign, and it also screams foreigner, right? Foreign. So we know that there's an intermingling even of anatomical processes. Half vampiri, breeding programs. Let's burn all of those fucking experiments that are hiding in bottles there underground. Okay. So interestingly, we have the all familiar famous 33-6 on the scene. That's also another indicator that this is authentic, deliberate posting of vampiri. And because we have familiar name, the usual suspects, 33-6, sacrificial, bloodsuckers. So what I'd like to show you to test the theory, right? I'm not saying it's only, but it's part of for sure, in my opinion. Please select your sprinkler flavoring. Alright. Here's the sequence for the fires. Let's just go broad, wide for now. So January 7 is the official date, right? Now let's focus on the +1. January 8. We immediately see a portal sequence, so there's a good sign. What I also want to make clear is the 89. Right, now here's the book sequence, the article. We're tapping into timelines here, right? In the +3, 89. In the, I beg your pardon, in the +1 on the real 89. Here we have an 18-9 in the +3. In the +3, we have an 12-3 outcome. We have a 12-3 outcome in the +6 of the book. So there's 12-3. Then we have the 15-6 in the +6. Now we have a 15-6 both in the real, so obviously it's real. And then in the +9 we find obviously the 15-6, right? And then we have an 18-9. So in the case of, so we've got 18-9 in the +3. So why does this match? Because we had this in a previous episode, right? So yes, in my opinion, it's a direct match. The reason why it's different is because obviously the time in which this has taken place. But for all intents and purposes, the same effect is in play. Does that make sense? Because now what I asked was, so in other words, for me, there is a part of that, because it only fits the +1, one could argue on face value there's 2 more columns where other things are happening and why things are happening in the world around this thing, right? If you want to look at it that way. A little bit vague, but I'm just giving a sense that part of it is vampiri. I questioned and I asked, okay, well, the 33-6 isn't around here. The 33-6, do you know where the 33-6 shows up? on the day of the inauguration. The inauguration. In the +3, there's a 33.6. Now, why is it lining up? 20. So, if we go January 20, it's all related. January 20, if we go back 3, gives us the 17th, right? Here's the 17th here. Now, keep in mind the 17th. Here's this. Now, the orange block has just started now in the US, right? January 9, 10, 11, orange block. I beg your pardon, I'll tell you what I did with this blue. It was just prior to this. January 14, 15, 16 is the red block. And then, January 17 is the sacrificial, and it falls within a portal sequence as well. If conditions are met in these two date sequences, this is going to go down. And unfortunately, we are on the precipice of something that can be either what's just come to mind at the beginning of when it was definitive that Trump was the winner, and he went and had a meeting, his first meeting with Biden. Biden goes, everything's going to be a smooth transition. Well, let's just burn down all your houses and shit first, right? Let's just cause panic and mayhem by killing people. Let's create fear amongst people. And then when we see these sacrificial portals, because you'll recall, let's just go back to, bigger pardon, we're going back to New Orleans. You'll remember in the +1, here's a 33.6 sacrificial portal. There's the portal, sacrificial portal. These guys, these demonic, depraved beasts, problematic. Oh yes, there was another obvious thing. The January 7 date, look what the outcome is here. We've just spoken about this recently, 17.8. The fire, and I know this is going to upset people, and because that's why we say the innocent people affected are worst affected. Because I bet you all the people that are burning evidence and getting rid of things, and they were warned in advance. Get all your personal shit together that you like. Say bye-bye to the rest. Just make sure you leave those glass bottles filled with godforsaken what in there. 17.8, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, in the +9, so here's my fear, if we should ever use a term like that. Here's the issue I'm having. January 8, which was yesterday, was a portal sequence. Then 9 days from then is the 17th. So I'm a little bit concerned. 15, 16, 17. So yeah, it falls within here. 15, 16, 15, 16, 17. So 15, 16 within the red zone. And if those conditions are met, it's another confirmation of sequencing here. I've gone via a different route completely. So the issue, the blue zone here. I make this blue because this is where all the children numbers are. January 12, January 13. Funny enough, Scientology numbers as well, yeah. I haven't meditated or done any more deep on this. January 12, 13. I just made it blue as an energy vibe around the children numbers. But we can see from this book and what the intention of the book is an inception. They're telling people the demons are here. Not only are they saying they're here, they're saying they are integrating with other anatomy to make another body. Daywalkers. So I was going to say, bigger pardon, I get distracted, sorry. Unless I said it, but the fire is in some way a distraction tool. As well. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so on one level, yeah, we can say, the vampiri demons have to get rid of all of their carcasses, skeletons in the closet, all those that they've got trapped and hidden in their dungeons, siphoning toxic fear and adrenaline rushes, whatever. There's obviously other things going on here. Yes, so if we're looking at now the children angle, this is the fire, right? Yeah, in the +6, which is actually the action, 14.5 is pedo groups. 23.5, we just saw this now in the Scientology episode. 14.5 pedo groups, 23.5 the broader pedo group, 13.4 children. This is, yes, so here's another confirmation of, yes, the fire is real, yes, it's serving a particular purpose, yes, but it's also serving other purposes. 26.8, sorry to say, yes, 26.8 speaks about destruction, like really can speak about like destruction, but it's also the staging number. And so there's more to this than meets the cloudy sky, right? So I thought I'd test the theory of, I've always wondered, and I've never tested it through numerology, funny enough. This was back in my producing days, the prevalence and relevance and really how far are vampires really in this world, right? Or did they ever even exist, right? And interesting to do a dipstick test here. Of course, we can test some other models, or what I mean by models is other publications that would, you can always tell an authentic vampiri movie, or, ours movie, background movies. If you read books, a vampire, like what was that one with Rice? Yeah, and the whole saga. Yeah. I can see their faces. I just can't get that name now. And I know you want to kick my ass, but share it in the comments. We can feel when vampire stories are authentic, and when some are just bubblegum bullshit, right? Those are the ones we need to test. Release dates, founding dates. If anyone knows any information. I know this is a bit of a left to right turn, and here we are again. But I'm really happy that I watched this episode. Really insightful, and I went digging, and I may have found a coffin or two. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please leave your thoughts and comments. And once again, to the real, honest, loving people out there that have been caught in the mix of a change of guard. Peace and light to you, prayers and thoughts. Bye for now.